Everybody in here? Everybody's in here. Hello, everybody. It's good to see people. I recognize some faces. This is fun. I'm Mallory Coit, the USAJP president. So I want to welcome everybody to tonight's social event and our Wicker Kittens panel. We're just going to get started right away. What I'm going to do is introduce all the people on the panel, and then we're going to show a few clips, have a few questions, and then after we've kind of met all the panel members, I'm going to open it up to questions from all of you. So I hope you are ready to learn more about all these amazing puzzlers that we have on the call with us tonight. So yeah, so the first thing I'm going to introduce Mike Scholtz. He is, can you wave? Thank you, Mike. He's the film's producer and editor, and also happens to be my significant other who shares a house with me. But we don't need to get into all that relationship drama. Then we have Monika Kopet, and she is a Jigsaw puzzle contest organizer extraordinaire. And I can't wait for you to hear more about Monika. And I've got a really awesome first question for her, so I'm excited about that. And then we have Leslie Mallory. And Leslie is a competitive puzzler that was featured in the film. We have Cynthia Bick-Smith. Where's Cynthia? There she is. Also, and she's a member of the Champions team that was featured in the film. And then we have Misty Havens, who is a member of the Challengers team, and she's actually my niece and is on the team that I compete with. Then we also have Mark Geis, who is a collector and a speed puzzler extraordinaire and is a member of the Champions team that's featured in the film. And then we have Annie Dugan, who's also a member of my team and lives just down the road from me. And so we do a lot of puzzle talk. And then we also have John Whitneben, who was unable to be on camera, but he's here in spirit and on the telephone, so he can't really wave, but you can see we have his little Zoom box labeled there, so he'll be joining us via phone and chiming in. And then we also have Robin Decare, who's another member of the Challengers team, and a lot of you probably recognize Robin because she participates in a lot of contests and dominates and is amazing. And then I'm going to introduce them. They aren't officially on the panel, but they are in the film. Liz and Sarah Schuler, I see you guys. And Liz and Sarah are on Stephen Grundy's team, who is featured in the film. And Stephen couldn't be here, but I'm sure at some point we'll ask Liz and Sarah to just kind of give us an update on what's going on with Stephen. And I think that's all the panelists. So I'm going to get right to it. We're going to show a clip. And then we're going to start with some questions. So I just got to get this ready here. Let's see. This was a popular clip when we were on the film festival circuit.
I don't know if I have any other credit either from before.
Oh, yes, you do. You have $14.
Oh my gosh.
And you didn't use it last time.
Yeah, well, we'll use it now because we're going to get a ton. I'm loath to give up Wicker Kittens, but that's okay.
I know, I was a little sad to see
Wicker
it go.
Kittens is so cute. They're so cute. We did this one together, I think.
No, it was last January. Yeah.
Oh, we were practicing. Yeah.
Yep. Kittens don't impress me.
Are you more of a dog person?
No.
Really?
Horse
Oh, you do the horse ones?
Oh. But I wish the companies would label on the outside of the box whether they were traditional or random cuts.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about the puzzle contest and how hard it is to find a lot of just one puzzle.
Right.
And she was saying that she thinks they probably aren't all the same cut,
Oh.
which makes me think,
that's
that's
crazy.
not good, because what if you
It's
got
gotta
stuck with
be
a harder
the same.
cut?
Right.
Yeah.
In one of the articles, they said that to make sure their puzzles are all different, they rotate their cutters.
Really?
So
On
you
the
could
same
get
photo.
on the same picture. Then they rotate it 90 degrees.
wanna
I suppose they
find
get
out now.
4 different cuts.
I'm going to look for that, like when we're there,
Yeah.
if they have the same cut or not.
It's a good excuse if we lose.
I know. If we lose, we'll be like, we had a harder cut than theirs.
Okay, that's embarrassing, but
Those are so cute.
the reason I showed that is literally when we were at South by Southwest Film Festival, and Misty can remember this, people laughed so hard when we did the classic Minnesotan, oh yeah, like it was just riotous. The crowd like absolutely loved it. So I wanted to show that first off to show what nerds we are, and then to ask Mike if he can talk about why did you make this movie?
Well, I have a question for you, Val. Did you ever determine if they have different cuts on puzzles? Did we ever figure that out?
I don't remember looking. Did anybody else look? I don't know.
I feel like that was an unanswered question from the movie. But to answer your question, I remember, so I think we started making this about 10 years ago. And back then, there were a lot of contest documentaries coming out. Like Spellbound had just come out, and that was one of the, for a documentary, that was like one of the biggest, films at that time. And then I think one of my favorite movies is The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, which is about two guys battling each other for supremacy in the Donkey Kong video game world. And so I think at the time the director, Amy Elliott, and I were just looking for something fun, but also contest oriented. And since I am a very lazy filmmaker, I just looked around my house and found that I lived with someone who does a contest. And, Amy Elliott suggested, well, yeah, let's just make a movie about, not just her. I mean, obviously, well, she'll be in it. She'll probably be the villain, but, let's make a movie about, the whole world of competitive jigsaw puzzling.
Cool. Well, my next question is for Monika, and then we're going to show a clip. But I wanted to ask Monika because,
I know what clip you're going to show, and you're going to get it.
So you and Mike, I feel like have something in common in that you aren't competitive puzzlers, but you are involved in this world. And so I just want to ask before I show the clip, I'm going to show. What?
Never gonna live it down.
What were you thinking when you started doing contests and started meeting all these jigsaw puzzle people?
I took everybody very seriously, but I thought they were kind of nuts. But now, and yes, I'm not a competitive puzzler, but now I have participated in competitions and I do love puzzling now. And I actually puzzle with my fiance's mom all the time. She's my puzzle buddy. So it actually got me to love puzzling. But yeah, at the time I was like, these people are nuts. What are they taking this so seriously for? I don't understand what's going on right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to show the clip and then I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. If people have seen the movie, they probably do know like what I'm going to be showing, but it's an awesome clip. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, I'm going to do some fast forwarding here.
If my battery dies, I have my phone on standby. I just want to remind you.
And supposedly they say there are some ghosts in the Landmark Center from a long time ago. Yes, this is right here. I taped these shut pretty good, but I should be able to get one open. Oh no, yeah, don't show this to any of the puzzle people. They'll know what the puzzle is. The picture on the side, I suppose I gotta cover that too. They'll look at it and they'll cheat. Yeah, as much as I said not to peek last year, everybody still did. A lot of them try to ask me what the puzzle is. And I say, I can't tell you. I tell them how many pieces it is so they can at least practice that. Okay, so we got all the sides covered so they can't see what it is. Here's one. I'm gonna have to do this to 73 puzzles, so this is gonna take me a while.
Yeah, or can they see that one side though?
Oh, how many? Jeepers.
Yeah.
Sorry to point that out. Oh no, that's fine. Wait, so I covered up one side. Oh my gosh, it's on 3 sides? Yeah, last year I took the plastic off the box and I opened up the big inside, but I don't think that it's maybe a good idea for me to open the big up inside again because I feel like a piece might come out and I won't notice it. And there was a few people that were missing just like one piece last year. So I don't know if it's because it flew under their table or if it was my fault. So I should probably, yeah, because they can't have any tool to open up plastic. So I guess I better think about this. See if I can just stick it in here, I hope. And I rip it apart. I'm gonna have to make sure this is really secured. They will peek. I wonder, I don't think it matters if I staple it to the box. Staple it on here maybe a little bit. And then they can grab it from the signing table and they can't see what it is. I think if I do it like this, people won't look inside. Especially if I tell them, hey, you gotta lay it down and that's it. Oh my God. Maybe I should just stick them in bags and that's it. Tell them just do not look.
Do you think that they will still?
Well, they might still try to peek, but what am I gonna do? I can only do so much.
So,
Okay, can I say one thing about that clip? And like, so the first time Monika saw it was in Minneapolis, and we had been like kind of traveling around with it, and so I had seen it before, and I was sitting right behind Monika during that scene, and I was like, she could, like, this could go one of two ways, right? Like, she could be pissed and just
I cried. I cried.
Oh
I was
my
laughing
God.
so hard.
And she was laughing so hard, and I felt so much relief that you were like so like there and just okay with it. And I just like, I thought that was really cool. So I just wanted to share that little moment.
So yeah, Monika, so you were amazing because we were nervous about you seeing it. And then, so I have this quote from Monika that I will never forget, where you saw the film and after you loved it. And we were just like, so glad that you weren't like, oh, you guys, why did you include that? And you literally said, like, you know, Mike announced that it was going to play in Boston. And you were like, I'm going to Boston. This is amazing. I'm going to ride this bus until the wheels fall off.
This is the only cool thing that's happened to me in my entire life.
Like, yes, come to Boston. It would be amazing. And you came to Boston and it was so much fun and people loved you. You were like the only one other than Mike and myself that were there, and everybody wanted to talk to you, and it was just amazing. So yeah, I mean, can you talk about being in a documentary film and what that's been like?
I didn't know it was going to be a comedy. I thought it was going to be like this serious movie about puzzle making. And I'm like, this is hilarious. No, this is like a personal thing, but I had just gotten out of like a 6-year relationship. And when that happens, you're kind of like down in the dumps and you're like, what am I going to do with my life now? And then I remember I saw it on like Facebook and I found out that all of a sudden, oh my God, it got made. It happened. Me and my mom like jumped up and down for like 10 minutes and clapped each other's hands and hugged each other. And I'm like, I'm a movie star. And then, yeah, I just went to every single one I could possibly go to. I drove to Boston. I didn't even fly there. I just was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've always been obsessed with movies and TV, and I'm in a documentary. And yes, I rode it till the wheels fell.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So next up, I am going to show a clip of Mallory, Leslie Mallory. I call her Mallory now because of, you know, what we're going to see here in a second. So yeah, let me show that quick. That was awesome, Monika. Okay. I'm going to go to 9:03.
People, where most of us will look at colors and faces and flowers doing a puzzle. Leslie just looks at the shape of a piece.
She does see shape.
And she will look at a piece way over there and get it, and it'll go right in.
It's kind of scary.
It is very scary.
Oh, see, you have the technique. Oh, sorry. I just showed her how to move large connected pieces. If they interlock like this and you're trying to move them, you grab opposite sides and put a little pressure on it, and then it moves as one unit. And you can't tell the competitors that that's our secret. Hey, he's looking. The secret's out.
Look at that, it works.
That's
You can
because they
actually
weren't
take
by
an
me.
entire section by going at diagonals, pieces attach. I like that. That was nice.
Did I hear that I'm being credited with something?
The Mallory move.
We've already- That's how I'm referring to it for the rest of my life. It'll be known as the Mallory move. Yeah, the diagonal pickup. Yes, to slide across when you aren't allowed to
You
use
don't need
tools.
spatulas.
It's a great idea.
Okay, so Leslie, a lot's happened since the documentary was made. In the film, you're sort of, like the Dark Horse team, you guys, I think you talk about like, oh, last year we got 10th and, and now you've been on a winning team. You've won the St. Paul Winter Carnival contest. So, and one of the things you said in the film was someday you would like to win. So what is that like now to be on a winning team?
My life, it's just amazing now. I could say yes. At one point, I won the Winter Carnival puzzle contest. It was really, really fun to win. It was with a different team, and it was a team I love puzzling with. I discovered though that I don't really like competition. I love to puzzle, but I'm not a big competitor. So I wanted to do the documentary because it allowed everybody to come together at this space that I had where we could all puzzle together. And that's what I like most about it, is just being a social puzzler and chatting with people, and especially, hanging out with students who would not normally be talking to complete strangers. It's just that part of it means a lot more to me. And the Mallory move was just something I came up with when I was a kid, because I always had to do puzzles on my lap in a puzzle caddy. We didn't have a table that I could just leave it set up. So I had to figure out a way to get pieces from one part to another. And I'm sure other people have done it too, but it was nice to be credited with that in the movie.
I'd never seen it before. I don't know if anybody else here has ever seen it before, but after watching the movie, what were you going to say, Cynthia?
I think Leslie and I were separated at birth because I did puzzles the same way as a kid, and I developed the same technique because I had to hide the big pieces from my brothers who would throw them on the floor if I didn't. So out of necessity.
Cool. Well, so were you legit annoyed, Leslie, when Steven is like doing your move a little while later and like stealing?
No, I was more concerned that Mike was going to tell your team about it. So he swore himself to secrecy.
Well, what's funny is after the film, we got to see the film, we literally were like, that's amazing. And it was sort of like we were picking up pointers from you and like the champions team. Watching Mike Helen sort by color, I think, was a revelation for our team.
Yes.
How they did the sort. So yeah, we definitely did get some tips. Okay, so the next clip I want to show is a little bit of folks from my team. So it's Misty and Robin. And they kind of are talking strategy, which is most of what our team, I feel like, is doing when we're on camera. So we like to argue a lot.
We're going to Robin's house to practice. And we're going to, I think we're doing small puzzles today because we're going to try out a few different strategies. If Val were here, we would have to try an don't sort strategy and a sort strategy. And we do this every year, I feel like.
Is there anything that makes you nervous about the contest?
I get nervous. I'm super excited, and I get excited, but I do get nervous because I just want to win. And the thing is when I start talking about it, I realize like how absolutely ridiculous it sounds, but it's fun. Like, and we mean everything we say. Like, we're not just trying to like fake enthusiasm or something. It's like when we think about it, we really think about it. So don't think I've done the baseball one. Have we?
I also have a 200 piecer. Did you bring a 200 piece puzzle?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't have one. Well, aside from that one of my kids, but that one's really hard.
Oh, okay. So this is technically Clark's Christmas gift. He's never used before. But he's not here because he's at school. So we could practice on a little sprint one, and then do a 500 piece one.
How do you feel about bringing snacks to the contest?
Oh yeah, if you bring snacks, you don't want to win.
If you bring snacks, you don't want to win.
Yeah.
I just said they don't pose a threat.
Right.
Anybody with a snack doesn't.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna be reaching into the snack bin, you're not gonna be puzzling. So
yeah.
It sounds kind of snobby though.
Okay, so Robin, I'm going to ask you first. So it's been a while since this film was made and all of our secrets are out, but have you developed any new strategies that you would want to share with the group this evening? No, just
nope.
nothing.
Although I do feel like there's not a strategy that works for every puzzle. So a lot of it is just adapting to the puzzle, and maybe you come up with a strategy, but there's no reason to even say it's going to work. So you just try it. You're constantly trying new things.
Mm-hmm. What about Annie and Misty? Do you want to chime in at all? Do you feel like we've finally come to some resolution on our strategies, or are we still arguing?
I feel like we've instituted some solid practices. Like we have best puzzle practices, and that we, no jamming, don't look for pieces, etc. But there's, as Robin said, there's each puzzle calls up its own method. So.
Do you still get super nervous before a contest, Annie? Because I think in the video of the contest, you look the most freaked out.
I can't eat beforehand. I always forget deodorant. And so I'm like that, like,
well, I always remember
twice. Mike has had to go to Walgreens twice to buy me deodorant.
Yeah, I try to remember to bring deodorant, but then I know you had to buy some. Misty, I was going to ask you to weigh in because you were like, I just want to win, and we since this came out, everybody, by the way, our team has won. Like, I just want to put that out there. We were constantly getting whooped by Cynthia.
It's because we stole everybody's move after learning about it through Mike's documentary. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I tease the champion team that, we're just now getting into bifocal territory, whereas they're well into bifocal territory. So, maybe that was an advantage for us the last few years. But yeah, Misty, do you want to talk about what it was like to win again? Because we had a little stint there where we didn't
I remember like that. So we won like 2 years after the movie came out. Like it was like the next season after the movie came out. And I remember afterwards at some point, one or all of us were like, Amy Elliott, will you edit the movie to like tell people that we've won? Like since then, like, can you put a thing at the end that says like they won? Because it was so disappointing how the movie ended. And we were like, we can do this. We know we can. Because we had won in the past, and then we kind of hit this like territory where we didn't always have the same people and things like that. And I would echo what Annie said about like we found things that didn't work for us, and that was like we didn't have to argue about those things anymore. And we found ways to like really play off of each other's strengths instead of trying to always like mix it up. So like I think we kind of just decided like these are things we want to do consistently. I know someone posted a question in the chat about like, can you tell us more about non-sorting versus sorting strategies? And I think our thought process at that time was this idea of like, our goal right away should just be to like get all the pieces flipped over, pull out really obvious things and then kind of go from there, but not spend significant time in the beginning sorting out everything. And I think we realized after watching the documentary, like that is not a good strategy. like you have to have everything organized from the very beginning in order to be successful in the end. So I think that's something that like, I know I do a lot of sorting because I feel like I'm stronger at that than I am at like some of the actual assembly. So, but I don't know if that answers the question, but I think that's where we were coming from. Like, is it just better to get started or not? And we were trying to see if that was the case.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we did learn a thing or two from watching the documentary. And yeah, and I mean, but you know, I will say like Cynthia, and I'm going to get to you and Mark and John next, like your team, I don't know, like it was like 5 years, right? And there's a line in the movie where Mike Ellen says, we're like the Los Angeles Lakers of jigsaw puzzling. And you were, it was sort of like, if we saw you at a contest, we were like, oh no, like great. Like, you know, because you guys were just sort of unstoppable for a while there. You were on a real run. So, okay, so let's show a little bit of the champions team. Let's see here. And I'm not going to show much from the end of the film because I think there might be a few people who are on this call tonight who haven't had a chance to watch the film. And so I didn't want to spoil it for them and like show, you know, how the contest turns out. So I'm just kind of focusing on the stuff that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Actually, 3 people on my team are puzzle collectors. Mike and John and I are all collecting.
Here's an example of a early solid wood puzzle, kind of a push fit interlocking style that has some figural pieces. I don't generally collect modern puzzles because I just don't find them as interesting as the older ones, and I enjoy putting together the wooden ones. But these just really appeal to me on kind of variety of levels.
In the last few years, I met Mike Helland and John Whitneben, who are now on my team, at other kind of puzzle events, and we've become friends. And oftentimes when I'm doing puzzles, I'm doing it as more of a solitary thing. Generally, I'm kind of doing it by myself, and unless I'm working on puzzles with the team.
And then I'm going to go to another clip here with Cynthia. You guys are kind of scattered throughout the film, so it's hard to get one where you're all like together.
Last year was the first year that I did a puzzle contest. I'd never heard of such a thing. I had no idea that there were jigsaw puzzle contests. But a woman that I work with said, well, there's going to be a Winter Carnival contest, and my old team needs a 4th person. Would you want to try out for it? I went, really? Try out for a jigsaw puzzle team? Seriously? I met him, and then before you know it, we're doing the contest, and sure enough, we won.
So I do love that because our team just sort of came together, like we're a group of friends. We all happen to puzzle. We didn't have auditions. I'm glad we didn't have auditions. So can you talk about that a little bit, Cynthia? Like what did the audition consist of?
It was, for those who don't know, I'm an actor, comedian. I have kind of a weird life. And just the whole absurdity of jigsaw. And this is not a slam because like Monika, I was like, these people are nuts. But then once I got into it, I'm a nut and just as bad. So my friend told me what it was. And she said, well, I'll give you your name and number to Mark. And so I got a call from Mark. He says, come over to my house. Mike's going to be there. John lives in Iowa. And so I didn't even meet John until the night before the puzzle competition. And I told my husband, well, I'm going to South Minneapolis to meet a couple of guys. If I don't come back, it's been great. So I went to Mark's house, and Mike and Mark could not have been sweeter. They were just lovely. And we sat and we did a few puzzles. And I think we were halfway through the second one. And they asked if I would want to be on the team. And I hadn't at that point actually done a puzzle for a number of years, and people always ask us, well, what's your strategy? How do you guys practice all the time? And how does it you guys win all the time? And for me, it was when we got together and practice, we talk a lot and have fun, but mainly we practice staying out of each other's way. That's it. Our biggest strategy was Mark does the border, and if there's a lot of blue sky, give it to Mike. Or Mike gets to tell us what to do. If I'm stuck, then Mike says, you should work on trees. And I go, okay, I'll work on trees, or whatever. So it's kind of like on our team, it's like, we talked about this, especially John and I would have conversations when we all feel like we're the weak person on the team, except for Mike, who really is just amazing. And I felt so lucky that I fell into that team, and I almost feel like an imposter sometimes, because I go like, without these guys, I wouldn't be there. But it was a great experience, and I really enjoyed it while we had that run. It was fun.
So Mark, what would you add? I mean, I was going to ask you exactly, what Cynthia just sort of alluded to, like, what was your secret? Like, why do you think you guys were doing so well there for a while, Mark?
I don't know. I think we have a lot of experience doing puzzles, because we've always, since three of us are collectors, we've done a lot of puzzles over the years. Mike and I have actually competed together for a while before the four of us joined, because I originally joined the company that I worked for. There was a group of people that were puzzling, and at the Winter Carnival, and they invited me to join, and then the team kind of evolved over the years. So I don't know. I think it's just we kind of have a rapport. So people have different strengths. So Mike, he's really good at sorting and kind of passing things on and said, here, you're stuck, move on, move to this. Or one of the things we'll often do is, I'm stuck. And then we just like rotate, and somebody will also take fresh eyes to seem to help speed things up. So that's, I think, has helped us. And we would practice occasionally and just try different things, like who should do the border. And I kind of wound up, I became the border person, and we'd try different people. And then I would generally do it in the competition. It's just kind of the way things worked. But
so John, I just want to make sure you get a chance to weigh in too. Like, do you guys have rules? I mean, we have like our rules, that Missy and Annie kind of referred to, no jamming. Like, have you guys developed some like rules of just basic things that you make sure you're all on the same page with? Can you hear me? Is John still there?
I think I'm muted.
Oh, no, there you are. We can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry. I don't think we have rules per se. We just really work well together. And, it's kind of like Mark and Cynthia have said, we kind of have that divide and conquer strategy. Everybody works on their thing, and then you start putting it together and filling in the blanks. And we just have fun.
Cool.
I think if there was any rules at all, it was don't hover a piece over the puzzle too long, because I can't see through your hand. I was kind of guilty of that one sometimes. And Mike would like swat my hand out of the way. And then Mike's other rule was don't pile pieces one on top of the other. We all have to see them. And that's really about it.
Oh, that's just a given. Yeah.
Can I just say the Winter Carnival follows the rules like you're supposed to. So I won't name the puzzle competition I went to, but I went to one over a summer, and they were using spatulas, and they were doing all kinds of stuff they weren't supposed to, and I couldn't see anything, and I was just standing back like, oh, no, this is not allowed. So
that's amazing. Yeah, our group has a couple other rules. Like you are not allowed to have like a handful of pieces and just be like kind of like you have to have one piece in your hand. That is it. Like, because if I'm looking for one and then I find out Misty's like holding it in her hand, I'm going to be really mad. Allie and Tammy are laughing because I know they have a team member who likes to do that.
It kind of works for us though. I feel like for a little while we're like, darn it, Lindsay, like you have it in your hand. But after a while, we're like, where's this piece? Where's this piece? Lindsay, do you have the sparrow in your hand? And she's like, yep, here's the sparrow. So it works for us now.
She would be banned. We would be like, you're out of here.
Once we got used to it for a while, sometimes it'd be like a little like,
But now that we know, it's kind of a relief, because we're just like, if you don't know where it is, it's probably in Lindsay's hand.
So I see in the comments, somebody asked, what is jamming? And Monika, you got it right. You said jamming in pieces when they don't actually fit, but it also is when you take a piece and you're just like here and then here, and I'll try it over here and like here, that we also call that jamming. Because a lot of times it means you're not really looking at the piece or where you're trying to put it. You're just trying everything you can think of. So we always are like, no, you should be able to tell whether it's going to go in before you even try to put it in. So if you're jamming, it means you're just kind of flailing wildly. So yeah, I want to open it up to other questions. What do people got? I'm not looking at the chat. So if Allie or any of you have seen other things come up, what do you got?
I haven't seen anything in there yet, but feel free to put your questions in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of you do single competitions? I bet she means individual competitions.
Oh yeah. I know one person who does individual, but I don't know if any of the others do. Robin does them, right?
Do, yeah. I love doing individual contests. Mm-hmm.
I do not. I don't know. Mark or Cynthia, Leslie, have any? Leslie's sort of retired from competition. I know you kind of mentioned that you're trying to focus on just for fun and relaxation. But
Yes.
have any of the rest of you tried the individuals? Because now with the pandemic, that's become much more of a thing. There's a lot of virtual contests that are just single people puzzling.
Well, according to Mike Helland, I mean, he used to do the Springbok puzzle competition, and they had sprints for individuals, and he did a fair amount of that. But I don't know of other people that have.
I think there are, and Mike did, he was a national champion several times, but I think not on our panel, but I think Sarah Schuler down there. I think Sarah's been doing some and actually planning to go to Spain for the nationals, she's telling me. So I don't know if you'd allow her to talk, but I find that pretty stinking cool that she's going to Spain for the nationals.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you guys if Sarah and Lisa, you guys are in the film, like as part of the family team. Do you want to give an update on where things are at with your team? And yeah, I know, Sarah, if you want to talk a little about an individual, because you're doing quite a few of those.
Yeah, so our family team, we have aged out. I am too old to be part of the family division now. I think you have to be under the age of 18. But in the film, my mom, my uncle, and my uncle's friend and I are all on a team together. We came in not first place that year, spoiler, but we have come in first place before as a family. Yeah, I think every other year
we did, except for that year.
So that was unfortunate, but my uncle ended up retiring from competition, and we joined a team with Leslie and another woman that's not on the call. And we were a team for a while, then Leslie retired as well. So now we have kind of a floating team. Mark has been on our team before, as well as Mark and Cynthia and my mom have puzzled together on a team. My mom has been on tons of teams.
I think this could be true. I think I've been on more teams than anyone that's in this group right now, because my brother and I competed before Mark's group won every year. Steve and I competed and won several times with two other ladies. Then I've been on the team with Sarah. Then I've been on partners with Leslie and the 4 team with Leslie. I was, they called the ringer. That's not true though, but on the year when Val was in charge of the contest. So I was on their team that year, and I've been with Mark, and yeah, I think I've been on the most teams. So I just kind of come and do the do the borders, and yeah, I have a lot of fun competing.
So now
Leslie got me back into competing after my brother retired and Sarah was off at college, and so yeah, Leslie got me back into competitions again, so I have her to thank for that.
Yeah, in Spain in September with a lot of my team members on this call, EB and Kara and Amber. I don't think Michaela's on here, but a lot of us are going to Spain together.
Okay, so since you've been on all these teams, Lisa, you have to tell us which one was your favorite.
Well, Leslie looks over at me with her glasses, but that was probably the most fun team. Oh, dog. That was the most fun team to be on. Leslie and we've been on teams and we've had a lot of fun.
All right.
We won a lot of times. Yeah. We're top 3 a lot of times. Yeah.
Val, we have more questions from the chat too, whenever you're ready for 'em.
Good. First, I'm gonna show you a clip of Sarah as an absolute baby. I found this in her last night and I was like, okay, well, if Sarah Toxin is there, we're gonna show this really super quick shot because it's like, that's Sarah?
So you've got 3 teams that are like super close.
Just drop it and grab a new one. Where's that one that's really slippery? That's that one. No.
So I had to show that because I love it that Sarah's like bossing around her team and she's the youngest one.
I was telling my mom earlier, I was like, Mom, did you catch the part where I yelled at you in the video? Like, how embarrassing. And I'm like, some things never change because I still tell her to drop the piece and move on to a new one.
Okay, Allie, sorry, I interrupted. What was the
Oh, no,
question?
you're fine. I just wanted to let you know that there were more. So let's see, to kind of follow up this part of the discussion, we were asked about Zoom puzzling that has been successful during COVID. Is this the new norm, or do you think in-person competitions will return as we get back to normal from COVID?
Anybody want to weigh in on that one?
I don't know what the future is going to be, but I was going to say, as long as Lisa was talking about her favorite teams, and I know I can totally understand that Leslie's her favorite, but we did Winter Carnival this year and it was by Zoom, and we did it in Phil's garage and Mark was on it too. It was so cold and we're outside and I have little fingerless gloves on and we were laughing so hard, and I don't know where we ended up even in the placement, but it was fun. And I never want to puzzle in a contest in a garage again.
I'd have to say, even though, it's been mentioned, I'm probably not going to compete anymore. There is something about being in a room full of like-minded people, ripping into a puzzle, hearing all of those pieces fall on the table, and complete silence while people are mumbling and putting the pieces in. You can't duplicate that on Zoom.
Even leading up to it, just like standing there waiting, it's like your adrenaline's going and you can just like feel the buzz in the air. And it was probably 2 Winter Carnivals ago now, I brought my boss and she was still kind of like, what are you talking about, Monika? This is like the nerdiest thing ever. I don't understand. And she got there and she's like, okay, I get it now. This is really cool. So it's like people have to see it to understand.
Yep.
Well, in the events that you organized for the Autism Society that were at the Mall of America, there were people that would stand there for 2 hours leaning over the rails watching other people puzzle. I mean, it's just fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Monika's taken this on the road. Like, you've done some organizing for other groups, and I mean,
Autism Society posters right here.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've really done a lot with the, helping other groups to like get this going. And that's something we're seeing as an organization, is like so many people contact us going, yeah, we want to do a puzzle contest as a fundraiser. And so, like, do you want to weigh in, Monika, on what it's like to organize one? I mean, do you think it's something that's sort of, once you got it down, it's kind of an easy thing, or what would you say?
Yeah, starting out at Winter Carnival was really hard because I recreated it from a half-a-page Word document that I had, but then I talked to a lot of you. It was really hard creating it from scratch almost. Recreating it for the Autism Society was a lot easier, but a lot of that is Tony from Puzzle Twist. He's so amazing and he kind of just runs the show. He's the MC, he donates the puzzles, all of that. But yeah, and now I'm in Rochester and I'm at the Mayo Civic Center, and my dream is to get a Rochester puzzle made and have it like debut at the Mayo Civic Center Jigsaw puzzle competition. So I might be coming to you guys in the next couple months to ask, what time of year would you come? And what do you want it to look like? And I'm just going to make them everywhere.
Yeah, I think people are excited to get back to doing them in person. I know our group, because we're trying to be, across the whole country, that's not going to necessarily be an easy thing to have it be where a lot of people can come together. So we're probably going to do virtual stuff every year, regardless of whether it's a pandemic or not, just to sort of stay connected across the country. But yeah, the in-person event, there's nothing that beats that excitement that's present when you're there and, just getting to see everybody. That's one thing I was going to say. A lot of people asked us after the film was made, like, are you all friends? All of us.
We are now.
We are now. I would say before the film, not so much. I think we kind of stayed in our own little bubbles. And we were, rivals. We would see each other at competition and be like, I don't want to be near their table because I don't want to worry about looking over my shoulder or whatever. And we kind of trash talk each other a little bit, but we weren't really friends. And then the film actually, I would say, brought us all more together, where we started going to screenings and then talking to each other. And Leslie, Mallory, and I have done so many puzzles in coffee shops when we were hanging out before the film was going to show or afterwards. So yeah, I feel like we've all become a lot closer and better friends because of the film in a lot of ways. So Mike,
I would even say now we know everybody's name. I mean, there were, we knew them as this other team that was the one that was always winning or something like that. But yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say we weren't enemies before, but we definitely were competitive, and now it's now it's a little friendlier.
Well, yeah, we knew your team as the Babes.
What?
We loved you guys. It was so funny because we did win the Winter Carnival several years in a row, and you guys were so amazing. You pushed us forward always. I'm talking to Val and Misty and Annie. And I think there was one year we beat you by 20 seconds or some ridiculous thing like that. And then the year you beat us, it was we were so happy. And I remember I went running over your table. I'm like, oh my God, if someone had to beat us, I'm so glad it was you. I'm so glad you beat us. And it was weird because we really did just get to respect each other and have fun. And Monika, I didn't know her before the competition. And she's now one of my dearest friends in the world. So it's
talk to her 4 times a week on the phone.
We talk constantly.
So what you're saying is if you want to make friends with people, you just get somebody to make a documentary about you.
Or you go to South Minneapolis and do puzzles with some dudes you've never met. No.
That's amazing.
Speaking of the dudes that you've never met, one of them in particular, there are a couple of questions in the chat are about his puzzle collection and how many are in your collection and what's the oldest one?
That's for Mark.
Okay.
But John should answer that too.
Yeah. Yeah, his number will be a lot bigger than mine. And I don't know if I have an exact count right now, but it's probably in the neighborhood of 600 to 700 puzzles. And I probably have maybe 300 of them are wood. And a lot of what I collect is from the 1930s and 40s, but I have puzzles. My oldest puzzle is probably from about 1880, but wood puzzles or puzzles in general go back to the 1760s. So that was, but the first puzzles made were a map maker put laminated a map to solid wood and cut it along county lines. And that's how it started as an educational tool. And then gradually over time, it became more of a fun thing for kids and adults. But it was a learning tool when it was originally started.
Cool. John, what's your answer to that one?
My oldest puzzle is probably about the same as Mark's, so probably around 1880. I have to do a database one of these days because I have about 14, maybe 14,500 jigsaw puzzles in my house.
What?
Yeah, and about 6,000 are assembled and stored that way. And I think a 2-bedroom bungalow, by the way. Yeah, it's getting, ask Mike and Mark and Cynthia, anybody who's been to my house, the they know what's taken over my home.
Well, so tell us how you store them. I know because I've talked to you about this, but explain to people how you can possibly have that many puzzles.
Well, my spare bedroom was my first puzzle storage room. That has 4 wooden units like the newspapers used to keep their typeset in back before computers. So, you know, one drawer can hold 1,000-piece puzzle side by side and 15 puzzles deep. And there's 14 drawers in one, 13 in another. I think I'm up to 165 or 180 drawers of filing systems, but the most common one is engineering flat files.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking, you don't keep them in the box, right? You assemble them and then you put them on like tag board or something heavy, and then you're storing them flat like that, correct?
Yeah, I put it on acid-free paper because, like Mark, a lot of my puzzles are old, which means they're lithographic artwork, not picture prints. And lithographic artwork can bleed out into regular paper, so I use acid-free paper. So it's paper puzzle, and the drawer's full, and I move to another drawer. Mm-hmm. I'd like to sort them in the drawers by manufacturer or by favorites or something, but it's getting hard to keep up with that. I need to devote more time to that. You know, good luck.
And someone asked if you save the boxes for those.
Yes, I do. So that's going to be its own puzzle someday because the empty boxes are up in the attic, and it's getting to where I can go up. You go up halfway to my attic, and then you turn and hit this halfway stair and open the trap door. And it's getting to where I think I just have to toss the boxes in because I can't get into the attic anymore.
Wow. I feel like this could be a whole Zoom session in itself. It's just an explanation and tour of John's house and puzzle collection.
Some of the comments said we need a film about just John and Mark's collections and maybe a museum. So, And speaking of some of, go ahead, John.
I'm all up for the museum. I will donate every puzzle I have to a museum if they will display them. You bet.
That'd be super cool. To kind of go along with the history, you know, you guys talked a little bit about the history. Someone asked, Missy asked if Mike could talk a little bit about the puzzle historian in the film.
Yeah, that was Ann Williams. We knew we were going to need to, you know, have someone give us some context about the history of competitions and puzzles. And so we looked around, and one of the only people who's renowned as a puzzle expert and has written a book about the subject was Ann Williams. And so Amy went up to Maine, and she's got a license plate. You know, I mean, what makes you more of an official puzzle historian than having a license plate that says, you know, puzzle? And she had a puzzle ottoman that she bought at what's that?
Topic.
Spencer's.
Oh, Spencer Gifts. Yeah.
Spencer, that's right. Amy and I had a big argument about whether that was funny or not, because Amy's from New York. They don't have Spencer Gifts in New York. They only have them in dying malls in the Midwest. And so we thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, she was fantastic. Very serious though. Very serious about jigsaw puzzling.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that I know Ann Williams. So we corresponded for years because I was interested in the history of puzzles. So that's how we first met, is just kind of corresponding mostly by letter back then.
Yeah.
But the year that John and I met, I met Ann Williams in person for the first time because I went to a puzzle parley out in Lexington, Massachusetts, and John came up from Iowa, so we had to go out east to be able to meet each other. And I actually went to Ann's home briefly after that and saw a little bit of her collection, and it was interesting to meet her in person because we had been corresponding for all these years. And she's written several books about puzzle history, and she's had exhibits about her collection. And I actually had an exhibit about part of my collection at a local history museum here in Minneapolis in like 2001. I had 75 puzzles of mine on display for 6 months, I think it was.
Yeah.
At the Hennepin History Museum. So.
Cool.
But yeah, I guess we're both into history, but she's really into it with all of the writing that she's done.
Yeah.
A super cool character.
Go
ahead, Val.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think when we find out Anne writes like kind of fictional novels too, usually involves some aspect of puzzling, jigsaw puzzling. Didn't you say that at one point, Mike, or was that Amy? I thought she was a writer who did some stuff with puzzling, but maybe I'm misremembering that.
Just nonfiction books about.
Oh, just nonfiction. Okay.
Some more questions here then. Actually, I missed this one. This would kind of fit in just a minute ago. Someone also wanted to know about Sarah's collection and how that compares. She's got a lot as well.
Okay, I don't have a lot. My uncle has a lot. I don't know, Val, if you have that clip saved to pull up. But my uncle has probably close to John. He does say that he has less than John, and definitely less now because last March when COVID really was starting, I convinced my uncle to let me sell his puzzles. So I've sold almost 2,000 of his collection, but he still has over 10,000. Basement is floor to ceiling. I don't know if Val will show the clip, but you used to be able to walk in the basement.
Doesn't he have a spreadsheet?
I don't know if he lost the spreadsheet.
Oh.
He got a new computer. So I have been determined to let me do a new spreadsheet of everything. He has probably like every Springbok ever made. A lot of
in there was like
puzzles.
Disney World. It was like, you could charge to come in here. This is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I only probably have like a couple hundred myself in my house. So not that many compared.
Sarah,
Still a lot.
One of the questions in the chat was, did you sell any with his handmade pieces? Because that's the other thing I loved that he does is make the pieces that are missing.
Yeah. There was a couple. I know there was a Pirates of the Caribbean one that I gave to someone because it had 5 pieces that he had made. So I didn't feel right selling it like it was a completed puzzle. But I was like, hey, do you want this puzzle that my uncle made replacement pieces on? And they looked legit. Like they basically, except for the gloss on them, if you just use some like nail polish or something on the top, I think it would match pretty well.
I think that's more like, that's even better. That's like one of a kind puzzle. So that's pretty good.
I think you can sell those as folk art.
Yeah. No, I did. I found the clip, so I'll show the clip here of Steven's basement so people can see it.
Yep, the upcoming contest should be exciting. I've met a lot of the people and I have a lot of respect for how good they are. I've done puzzles with them. If we've practiced enough and we're lucky enough, we'll be somewhere near the top. But I really count on my sister, I count on my friend, I count on my niece to carry me. I'm just the old timer in the group. But we do a lot of puzzles and we do practice a lot, so hopefully it'll be enough. Some are older puzzles, some are newer puzzles. Some have many, many pieces. I've got 5,000 piece puzzles, 50 piece puzzles. Some are historical, but not all. Some are very topical. Spider-Man right next to Abraham Lincoln. I have absolutely no preference. I have lots of Springbok, probably 200 or so that are Springbok brand. They're very colorful. They stick together. Well, you can move chunks of the puzzle from one part to the other using the Mallory move, or which is pulling against the grain. If you have a north-south grain, grab the corners and pull, and you can lift up a good chunk of puzzle. This has all come here in the last 2 years. I retired roughly 3 years ago, and when I'm out at sales or over at a Goodwill or a value thrift, those are places that have wonderful puzzles, and often, if I go there on the half-price day, they're 50 cents. I figure they need a home at 50 cents. This one is all the presidents up through Eisenhower, and it was missing a piece, so I had to make Truman. I usually do that. If there's up to 5 pieces missing, I'll actually laminate the board together, get it to the right thickness, and then draw in the missing part.
So yeah, that's amazing. I was worried he was going to get buried there for a minute, like his stuff started falling down.
So can I add something? So Stephen has been doing replacement pieces for his puzzles for some time, and I have started doing some for some of my wooden puzzles. So so one of the things that I do with my collection, so I have wooden puzzles, and most of those you do not get a guide picture with it. You get a box full of pieces and maybe a title, and you just start putting it together. So when I'm done, it's kind of hard to show somebody a box full of pieces and say, oh, here's my puzzle. So I started photographing, and I'll see if I can actually get this up where you can see it. So this puzzle, when I bought it, had 3 pieces missing. And I think it was in January, I cut replacement pieces and colored them.
That's
So
amazing.
and then I don't know if I actually have the other one. I don't have the before under, but this puzzle is probably from 1910, 1915. It had 2 pieces missing, and I made 2 replacement pieces for that one also in January.
Wow.
So it takes a while. So I'm hand cutting the replacement pieces. I got a piece of watercolor paper glued to wood, and I'm cutting out the piece, and then I'm actually using watercolor pencils to color in to try and match.
That's amazing. That's awesome, Mark. You can't even tell. Like, that's just amazing. That's so cool.
Well, since we're talking about wooden puzzles, there was a question earlier about using wooden puzzles for contests. Do people use wooden puzzles for contests? Yeah.
Jonathan's not here, but he could attest to that because he's started organizing some contests with wooden puzzles. Has anybody?
Saturday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, has anybody here participated in one of those and wants to talk about what that's like? I have no interest because I have a few wooden puzzles and I find them like to take a lot longer. And so I'm just like, I don't think my times would be very good. So I'm not very interested.
I'm interested to see how long it's gonna take.
Yeah, has anybody done one and want to talk about that? Andrew, you should pipe in. I don't know if you've done one of those yet or no?
There's one
No,
tomorrow.
I never would.
Oh yeah, what were you gonna say, Robin?
There's one tomorrow. Artifact is putting one on tomorrow, but I want to hear what Andrew was gonna say.
Just no, I've never done a wooden puzzle.
Faith, did you do the last one? I feel like he did one artifact one already, or was that not a wooden one?
No, it's tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it was sponsored by Artifact, the Science Museum in Texas. And so the prizes were Artifact wooden puzzles, but that was a standard puzzle.
Has anyone done speed puzzling with wooden puzzles? I feel like Tammy probably has. Anyone else?
Not as a competition.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's gonna take a long time. So good luck to you guys. Because they're different. You kind of have to drop the pieces in. It's a different feel. And I always take way longer to do a wooden puzzle.
A much smaller puzzle tomorrow. They're only doing it 250 pieces, I think.
Okay. Well, and Mark, do you want to comment on that? Because I know a lot of the older ones, right? They're an odd number of pieces. They aren't necessarily like your standard, like 500 or 1,000, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Most of them, there'll be a variety of pieces. And sometimes the box will say over 300 pieces, but some of the manufacturers actually have an exact piece count inside the cover. So it might be 301 pieces. And one of the things that's different, you wouldn't be able to do an antique puzzle competition because every puzzle is pretty much unique. Because back then, everybody was hand cutting the puzzles. Like Parker Brothers made puzzles from 1908 to 1958. And while they were cutting them, each cutter chose what figure pieces they wanted to put in it. They would choose the style of how they would cut the rest of the puzzle. So even if they made a bunch of prints, every puzzle would be different because you wouldn't be able to get a piece from one puzzle and put it in the other one because they'd be totally different cuts. I think probably one of the reasons that they do mostly cardboard puzzles now is just for cost effectiveness. The wood puzzles are going to be more expensive. You'd have to charge more to be able to have a competition with wood puzzles.
Yeah, I can add in on that. This is John. Liberty Puzzles is out in Boulder, Colorado, and they make laser cut wood puzzles. And they'll even make a special, you can send them a picture or tell them what you want, and they'll make you 50 or 500, however you want cut, and they'd all be cut exactly the same. But like Mark said, the problem would be, they'd probably be about $100 each.
Mm-hmm. Do you know too, John, I think Liberty, if you lose a piece and you contact them, they'll actually cut you a new one and send it to you, won't they?
Yeah, I've done that twice. But the last time I did it, I had 5 of the same puzzle. It was one of their specialty cuts, and it's bad Mike isn't here because he got Mark and I each started on collecting that puzzle. So we each got a copy, and I found out the guy had about 10 copies. So of course I had to have them all. And there was several that were missing 1 or 2 pieces. And since they're laser cut all the same, I just made one puzzle missing 4 pieces. And I contacted them, sent them a picture of what I was missing, because they're not rows and columns. You can't say over 4 and down 16. You have to send them the picture. And they said, we can cut those for you, but we have changed our printers so the coloring won't match. But the pieces match perfectly, and the coloring was off a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, if any of you are looking for a special like purchase, or you want to go all out, I would say Liberty Puzzle is probably one of the best things you can buy for a wooden puzzle out there. What were you going to say, Allie?
I was just gonna kind of piggyback on that, because again, there's like the puzzle history, which I think is super interesting. I feel like maybe there should be a documentary on just puzzle history, so think about that. But to go along with that, there was a question about Mark, and for John too, since you also have a collection. Have either of you considered taking your puzzles to an antiques roadshow, and then they would have to talk about puzzle history, or you would have to tell them about the puzzle history?
I haven't watched Antique Roadshow for a while, but I was kind of really into it, and I kept thinking about that it would be fun to, if it came to town, to actually take something from my collection and bring it to the show, but I didn't have the opportunity.
It was before COVID hit. I worked as a tour guide at the Wabasha Street Caves, and I'm very much into history. And a good friend of mine was a tour guide at the James J. Hill House. And one of the famous things is that the Hill family did a lot of jigsaw puzzles. And so I was actually working with Hill House and I talked to Mark about this. They were so interested in having Mark come there and display his puzzles and talk about it, because it was a big thing for James J. Hill. And then COVID hit. So it never happened, but maybe that'll be something that happens once this all passes by. We'll get it going.
Actually, I just want to chime in something. So I don't know, with COVID, it's kind of got put on hold, but Leslie has organized this event it's a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association. So a number of us have family members or friends who have been affected by Alzheimer's. So we started getting together for the longest day. It's the longest day of the year. So we puzzle from sunrise to sunset as a group. And it was a fun day to get together, and we invite people to come and join us if they wanted to stop by for an hour. And I would bring some of my puzzles from my collection. I put out a display so people could see some things from my collection. And we're hoping that, at some point in the future here, when COVID settles down, we can do that again. Yeah. That was a really fun event. And Leslie also would host some events at her church, the Mount Olivet, where we would just get together for an afternoon puzzling. I really enjoy those kind of events, just the social event to puzzle and chat.
I have to say that the longest day event is going on again this year. We just haven't decided yet how we're going to do it, whether it's going to be a small group gathering or virtual like we did last year. But it's a great reason to puzzle from sunrise to sunset. and the strange thing is, after puzzling for 16 hours, you go home and go, I could still do more.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've participated in that with you guys the last couple of years. And yeah, so Leslie actually coordinates with the VA hospital in Minneapolis, and that's where, St. Paul, Minnesota, and that's where she's had the event. And it's also been really cool, because then residents of the VA can stop by and puzzle with us and just kind of hang out and socialize. And there's a lot of, people that are coming in and out during the day, like visitors and, a lot of the people that work there. And so it has been really cool for them too, to kind of see, because we put the puzzles together and then we have all these tables in the hallway, and we can just put all the pieces out. And then at the end of the day, we count like how many pieces we managed to put together in the 16 hours or so that we're puzzling. And I think the last time it was a lot. It was like 20-some thousand pieces, wasn't it, Leslie? Like 27,000 pieces or something that we put together.
Yeah, I wish I'd looked it up before. Yeah, I can't remember offhand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of puzzles and a lot of pieces. But like you said, the best part was just having it open to the public. And the reason we did it at the VA is that Lisa Schuler's dad, Stephen Grundy's dad, lived at the VA. So it was a nice reason for him to come down and join us. But it was just great for the Alzheimer's patients to be there too. But like I said, I started out doing the event just because I The longest day is a day where you're supposed to do something you love from sunrise to sunset. And what better thing to do than obsess about puzzles?
Yeah, it's super fun. It's like it was one of my favorite things. I really hope when the pandemic lessens up that we can do it again and all get together. I know I've been thinking like one of these times we got to get one of those 20,000 Ravensburger puzzles or something, and then we can just do that all day. I just got to get Ravensburger to donate it because we don't want to spend a bunch of money in order to raise money. So unless one of you on this call has a big giant 20,000 piece puzzle you just want to donate to the cause.
I've got an 18,000.
There we go, John. Bring that next time.
And the Yellow Barn in Jordan, they've got a, Mark probably knows better than I know they have at least a 36,000. They might have one bigger.
Yeah, so what other?
I had one that's like 42,000 pieces, but yeah, even 18,000 pieces. We're going to do half a puzzle in a day because there's just too many pieces to look at.
A lot of pieces. Those are expensive puzzles too. They like add up very quickly. Yeah, I think Tammy has the Disney one, right? That one.
I have the 40,000 piece one, but when you factor in the cost 4,000 piece, it almost works out to just having 41,000 piece puzzles.
That's pretty good. At least it's not like more.
I tried during the longest day this year because I was doing it remotely, and I had never, because I always worked Saturdays or whatever day it was, I was never able to stay there from sunrise to sunset. And this year I went, well, I'm stuck home with the pandemic. I'm going to do it this year. I can't do it with Leslie, but I'm going to try it. And I set a goal to see how far I could get on a 5,000 piece puzzle in one day before the sun set. And I was racing against myself before the sun went down, and I didn't quite make it, but I got pretty far on the 5,000 piece puzzle.
That's a lot.
That's awesome.
Puzzle. Nice.
So
there are a few more questions, Val, and then I know that you are aiming to do a maybe a little some door prizes and some breakouts. So I'll throw out these last few questions. So let's see. We'll do the competitive question first, and then we'll do the funner, the more I don't know, the more fun one. So someone was curious about the tools. Why are no tools allowed for opening puzzles at competitions?
I don't know, Monica, do you want to weigh in on that one since you're the organizer?
Because it's cheating. You can only do the puzzle with God, what God gave you. These two hands.
Like themselves in the franticness of the opening the box. If you gave them a sharp instrument, I always was like, maybe that's a bad idea.
The funniest part is me putting them in bags and then Val going, no, that's no good. That's not going to work. I'm like, what else am I supposed to do? Tell me what to do then.
You noticed, Monica, but in the movie, you can see Annie picking up the puzzle in the bag.
And I don't even know what I did the first year. Did I just have them upside down on the tables?
Maybe. I think you did, maybe.
I didn't know what to do.
The contests that I organize, we do it the old-fashioned way. We have enough volunteers usually that we hand everybody a stack of like 10 puzzles. And then they just walk around, and just before you're going to do the countdown, they set them face down on the table. And then, so, people can peek at it, but they maybe only have like, 30 seconds or so to look at it and talk about it before we're going to do the countdown. So there's lots of ways to do it. I think the bags worked out just fine, Monica.
It's tough no matter what way you do it. People will always find a way to be upset with the way you've done it. It will never be perfect. I know that for some of the virtual competitions, they've started allowing something to open the plastic, the cellophane wrapped around the box, but they do it before the timer starts. So everyone but I think that's probably in a weird way, maybe easier to control than in person. Yeah, I don't know why, but So that it's allowed sometimes.
I think we've also done that, at least our group, because then we can also tell it, well, we can sort of tell if somebody's cheated and tried to open it before and maybe done it before the contest by making everybody take the cellophane off on camera. It's sort of another way to check and make sure that they haven't already completed it.
Well,
but
and we had,
oh, go
we
ahead.
had that
Monica.
one year where, was it Cynthia and Mark's team, that there was one piece missing. And I know I can't assist teams, but I was like, pick up your foot. And he picked up his heel and it was under his heel.
It was John. It was on John's shoe. It was us, and we couldn't find it, and no one had called done yet. And you walked by, and it was sitting on John's shoe as we're walking around trying to find it. He's walking around with the piece. So
you cheated. That's what you're saying. You guys.
No, it fell and it landed on his shoe, and we couldn't find it.
I also gave Mark heartburn medicine before a competition. So if you want to consider that cheating, you know, it gave him the extra oomph he needed. I don't know. Anything could be considered cheating.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I think actually, you know, oh, go ahead.
I get a kick out of the no magnifiers, no magnifying glasses. Well, where do you think my glasses are?
Wow.
Yeah, I've always found that one to be kind of interesting. I feel like that would slow me down, but I don't know. Yeah. Actually, you know, I think I know why the competitions might be, in a way, could be easier virtual. You can see all of them at once, like on this tiny little screen, whereas in person, you can't see all the tables at once as easily. Anyway, so the last question that I had from Monika was a good one and a fun one. How old were you when you did your first puzzle, panelists?
I think I'll just jump in. I don't remember when I did my first one, but I remember always doing it with my family, especially around the holidays, in the basement. And it was just the best way of connecting with the rest of my family.
It's funny, I always got puzzles for birthdays and Christmas, and I would take them into my room and hide away so no one else could help me. So I think my first one was like, I was like 8. It was mine.
I can't remember exactly what age it was. If it was 8 or 9, probably it was for Christmas. I got a puzzle, and it was Christmas Eve. We always opened our presents on Christmas Eve, and then we would go to midnight mass. And I really wanted to get this puzzle done. And I was bending over, and my bangs were kind of long because Cher was in at the time. Yes, I'm old. And I suddenly went, what do I smell? And I was so focused on this puzzle that I leaned my bangs into this candle, and my hair and my eyebrows were on fire. and then I knew, oh man, I really got into this puzzle a little too much. But it didn't stop me. And my eyebrows grew back.
I know as a kid, so like Val said, I'm Val's niece, and I know when we would go to the farm for Christmas, there was always a puzzle out. And it was like, I remember as a kid, like a really little kid, like standing at the edge of the table, and there's like all these tiny little pieces, and you could tell like, it was like, yeah, you can help, but don't, only in certain ways. Like, it was like, you can't like do that. And so I remember even when I had puzzles out, because when the documentary was made and before that, when we were competing, like I had really little kids, and everybody's like, how can you have a puzzle out with really little kids? And I'm like, I just have rules about like, they can touch the puzzle, but like the one rule was they cannot take the pieces away from the table. And then they get bored after like 5 seconds. They're like, oh, well, that's no fun, like whatever. But I remember always seeing puzzles there. I remember like very vividly, like specific puzzles that were always like, I feel like that was the one thing at the farm. Nobody bought new puzzles. We just did the same ones every year. But yeah, so I would say like ever since I was a little kid, it was like, that's what we did. And that's where I feel like, and I mean, when we were kind of traveling around with the documentary, a lot of people are like, why is this like, I was like, there's nothing else to do. Like in the winter, and especially in North Dakota, it's like you're stuck inside and you're playing cards or doing a puzzle or eventually watching TV and movies. But yeah, you just had nothing else to do. So I was like, yeah, this is what we're gonna, this is a family activity now.
John or Mark?
Yeah, I'll cut in. I don't think anybody remembers their first puzzle, but I remember what I would call my first serious puzzle. I actually have a Polaroid picture, or no, it's an old Kodak picture on my refrigerator. I'm holding at the card table with a completed 750 piece Whitman gold seal puzzle, and I'm wearing a Cub Scout uniform. So I'm guessing I'm what, 7 or 8 years old. And you can just tell I'm really proud of my accomplishment.
Please tell me you're going to email this picture out to everyone.
Oh, I think I just lost it. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I also remember that I have a brother 2 years older, and we used to do puzzles together, especially in the winter. My dad was a night watchman, so when we came home, we had to be quiet until he got up, which he'd get up around 4 or 5 o'clock, and so we'd do puzzles to be quiet. And we get down to the end of the puzzle, and there'd always be one piece missing, and I learned to just ask my brother for it because it'd be in his pocket because he wanted to put the last piece in.
Mark, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how old I was. I probably was 7 or 8. I don't know for sure, but I was a solo puzzler. So I would often have a card table set up and I was working on a puzzle, watching a TV show or something. And then I had older brothers and one of them would come in and he'd start like putting a couple pieces in. And that really annoyed me because no, I didn't do the whole puzzle. So I was kind of, I'd have to like take the pieces back out and put it back in because it's just the way it was because I wanted to do the whole thing myself. But actually, over the years, now that I started competing and getting together with friends, I really enjoy puzzling with people, which then I did not because I was a solo puzzler then.
So I wanted to ask Robin, because you also have little kids who you've now enlisted, like your kids are in contests with you. And do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I just bred a puzzle team. So my oldest has done a few, and I wouldn't say he was under duress, but he was doing me a favor to be on my team. But it helped when he came home with a prize. My middle one, I've competed with him in Duluth, and also this on a virtual one. He would do it with me, but he doesn't enjoy it. And my youngest, she's 10. And she enjoys it enough to do it regularly. So we're competing on the 2-person team at the Artifact Puzzle Contest tomorrow. And then we did one a few weeks ago where we won the family division, and then we got 3rd in the adult division, or the regular division. So I can get her to do them with me, and thank goodness, because all those years of being pregnant and raising children has finally paid off.
Wow, I really blew it not having kids, I guess. I had my own professional team, right? What was I thinking?
That's what it's all about.
About how my daughter was a baby when the movie was made, and there's a scene where my husband's like holding her and bouncing her, and now she is running around doing the contest with me.
Val, you didn't have kids, but you have Mike.
That's true. Close enough.
Oh wait, did you talk about when you first started doing puzzles?
No,
did I miss that?
I mean, Misty kind of got to it because apparently I was bossing her around at the puzzle table from a very young age. Because yeah, when she talks about doing puzzles with family, that was me. Yeah, I mean, I started really young just because my dad really loved puzzles, and it was a deal where every year at Christmas we got a Christmas springbok, and then we'd all like do the springbok, and then we dig out the previous year's Christmas springboks and we would work on those. And so, yeah, I don't know what age exactly I was, but I was pretty young probably when I started. And my mom loves puzzling. Like she and I puzzle together still. And she's lived in a couple of these like senior apartment buildings. And it's been really fun when we're puzzling with a bunch of other, you know, little old ladies that like live in her building. And soon after I would arrive and start puzzling, the other little old ladies would be like, well, this isn't any fun. Like, I just feel self-conscious because she's going so fast and I don't like it. And so I would kind of be the buzzkill at the puzzle table with the little retired ladies. Because I would be like, okay, ladies, we can get this done in like the next half hour. And they're just like, what? We're just trying to relax. And so, yeah, I'm just very bossy at the puzzle table, apparently. It's going to be a real hoot someday when I'm at the retirement village, like with all the other old people. Which isn't that far away.
Can I tell a story quick, Val, that you made me think of?
What?
This is just when my father was looking for a senior home to move into, and you know, the person's taking you around, of course, they're going to paint this as the best place to live ever. And there's always a jigsaw puzzle going out in the hallway in these senior homes, right? And so I would always wander up to the group and I would just start putting pieces in. And they'd talk and they go, oh, you're really good. And I go, oh yeah, I love puzzles. And then pretty soon they would start talking to me, and over the puzzle table, I would find out what it was really like to live in that home. So my puzzle skills actually had a real life purpose.
It's where all the serious dirt is dished, is over the puzzle table.
Exactly.
Break the ice with the puzzle, see what's actually up.
That is amazing.